Welcome back. Back to our earlier story on the raging Amazon fires in Brazil and Bolivia. Paulo Moutinho is a senior researcher from the Amazon Environmental Research Institute, and he now joins us on the line. Paulo, I hope you're there this time around and the connection is great. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you. Good evening again.
Now, Paulo, I understand that your electricity has just collapsed and, and it's because of the fires. How severe is this fire on energy and communication networks?
Yeah, this is a very strong situation, a very serious situation in Brazil right now. I think that's very important to understand that historically there is this relation between forest fire or a number of fires in the Amazon. It's related with two factors. One is the intensity of the drought periods, and the second factor is deforestation. So in that years when you have increasing deforestation and a severe drought period, you have more fire crossing along the landscape. So what happened in these years, in 2019, is that the drought period is not so intense, but we have much more fire than in the previous years. So, and what we found was a stronger relation between fire in the Amazon and new deforestation that happens a month ago or even years ago, that now people is using fire to clear the area already deforested. So this kind of situation is causing a huge damage in terms of biodiversity loss, in terms of health for people in living in the cities. So now the fires increase between 60 and 80% compared to the last 4 years.
Now, the indigenous people of, the Amazon forest are touting this as a genocide. What's your take on this?
Yeah, indigenous people, and especially in this situation, their land is working like a huge and a giant fire break. So we have some fire in indigenous land, but it's not like outside the indigenous land. So it's a very good thing to have a lot of forests being protected by indigenous people, because the fire is not there. So they are playing like a giant fire break.
Looking at the reaction from the two presidents, Bolivia's president and Brazil's president, and two different stances on reaction. Brazil's president has basically said he doesn't really need much help. That was a few weeks ago, and now recently he's stating that he does require some assistance, and he, in terms of funds to fight the fire. What's your take on his sort of slow reaction to the fires that have been raging for quite some time?
Yeah, I could say that Amazon protection, it's a responsibility of the humankind. Of course, the Brazilian Amazon belongs to the Brazilians, but this huge forest needs help from the international communities. And one way to do that is come to Brazil and trying to find a way, not just with the Brazilian government, but the state and governments of Amazon region. So there is a hope, I could say. Between 2005 and 2011, Brazilians reduced by 80% deforestation in the Amazon region. So we know how to do that. We know how to reduce deforestation. So I think with more cooperation, to find a good way to continue reduce deforestation or stop this situation of increased deforestation and fire, we could have in Brazil a dream, I could say, a dream that it's possible to do here, the sustainable development, where you can produce food for a large proportion of the world, but at the same time provide a lot of environmental service preserving the forest. So remember that we still have 80% of our forests. So there is time to change the situation that we already have in today and nowadays.
Now, the reaction from the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stating that the Amazon is a major source of oxygen and diversity and must be protected. And the reaction from France's President Emmanuel Macron also speaking of the fact that 20% of the oxygen on the planet comes from the Amazon. The G7 summit taking place this weekend, what do you think that needs to happen or come from the G7 leaders in terms of reaction and assistance to Brazil and Bolivia with regards to the wildfires taking place there?
Well, first of all, I think there is a lot of reason to people and governments from Europe or from different countries to be concerned about the Amazon. So it's I'm not saying that is a huge source of oxygen. So this is a very polemic in terms of scientific side. But I could say that the tropical forest like Amazon, it's working like a giant conditioner air. So they produce a lot of rain, not just for Amazon, but for other countries in the south. In South America and even to North America. So also, the forest it's a huge stock of carbon. If you burn it, you are increasing the release of carbon or CO2 to the atmosphere, making the climate change worse. So I could say that it's totally understandable that people are concerned about the Amazon because the implication it's for the entire planet. It's not just for Brazilians.
Now, it has been called an international emergency. It will be discussed at the G7 summit, as I've already mentioned. But in terms of reaction time, do you think that enough reaction time is taking place, or, is more discussions, more tabling of views? What needs to happen on the ground?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get exactly what your point, but I could say that I think that we are living a historical moment, and because I don't remember a reaction like that in the past. For example, the nuclear accident in Fukushima. Not mobilize a lot of different governments and the international society like we are seeing now. So I think that it's nice to have people concerned about that, but we need actions and concrete actions. And one action is not just to blame Brazil because they are not taking care very well the forest. I think we need actions in terms of cooperation to bring more support to Brazil and work together to find a way to put value in a standing forest. That's maybe the answer. It's there in the economy, not just in actions to protect forests. So the action now that should combine protection of the forest, bring more sustainability to agriculture, and at the same time put value on the standing forest.
Now, at this point in time, the fires are raging, and the reaction that needs to happen on the ground. What is required on Brazil's side with regards to these raging fires? What can the international community do at this point in time?
I think the first thing that the international community needs to do is to understand what's going on here. That's today and this week, it's a nice moment to understand exactly what's going on here. Because there are a lot of fake news being produced in Brazil right now to try to divert the real situation. So the second is to be engaged. So push the market to buy products from Brazil, for example, coming from a sustainable supply chain. The other thing is help the agriculture, because there are a lot of producers in Brazil trying to do the right things. So a large proportion of our agriculture trying to do the right thing in terms of environment protection, in terms of sustainability in agriculture. So we need a system, international system, to recognize this part of the agriculture sector that's trying to do the right thing. So there are a lot of opportunities right now because the people talking about the Amazon trying to understand what's going on, and this is good.
Paulo, thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it there for now. That is Paulo Moutinho. He is a senior researcher from the Amazon Environmental Research Institute, IPAM, and he was joining us on the line.